What's up, guys? Happy Friday. Welcome back to Inside the Lines. We're a little late today. Steven, who is right now in the chat, we're telling him to go home. It's his kid's birthday, his twin's birthday, so he's got better things to do than hang out with me and Jake and Derek on a Friday, okay? Got to give the guy off. It's been a while, but we got a lot to go over today. A ton of NBA today, a ton of baseball, MLB, college baseball. We're going to get to some Final Four stuff, answer any last-minute questions we have before tomorrow's game, so feel free to ask us whatever it is. I'm going to bring in Jake here. Take a look at yesterday. NBA night, nothing crazy. We did go 3-2. Gafford, I honestly want to go back to probably tonight. I think we might end up with the buy low spot for him. Sixers Heat, unfortunately, it was a close game where Bam did play a lot, and that was not what we were anticipating. But nonetheless, today's for the bounce back. A little money to bring in for the weekend. So let's start with the Final Four, Jake. You want to we'll start with, you want to pull that up in the model here and talk about those teams, or should we just rip the banners?
Yeah, I have it up.
All right, cool. All right, well, let's start with NC State Purdue here. We've talked about the Big Hoss parlay, which I have mentioned. I like ED 12+ rebounds, as well as DJ Burns over 2.5 assists here. But tell me what you're liking about this game. Let's get a little preview going overall.
Well, the big thing about this game is that all the money is on NC State, but it's only moved from 9.5 to 9, which is showing really how conservative these books are being, that they're taking in all this money on NC State, but they're really not moving the side. So it means most likely there's some really sharp money on Purdue here, which is keeping the spread at 9.5, 9 in most places. Sims have slight value on NC State. We also have slight value on the over. If the second half of the Duke-NC State game is similar to this game, then it's definitely going over, but maybe you want to wait till the second half to place your bets here. So we don't have a ton of value. Like, we don't have an A-rated pick here, but there's definitely some value on NC State to cover. And the joke here is that Purdue has a large history of losing to double-digit seeds, and, of course, when they get to the Final Four for the first time in 40 years, they play a double-digit seed. And NC State, who's an 11 seed. But also at the same time, Purdue lost to a 16 seed last year, and the only other team to lose to a 16 seed was Virginia, and Virginia won the Final Four the next year, won the championship the next year.
Oh, I like the trends. Yeah, I do like NC State. I'm not rooting for Purdue. Like, I'm loving this NC State team because I'm not a loser, but I am a little bit fearful of the way Vegas has responded to all of the money being on NC State and nothing moving. But let's take a look at a player prop here that you like. We've talked about the centers and the bigs with their assists, and you think Zach Edey here could have 2.
Yeah, Zach Edey, I'm surprised if you look at his game log right here that he's been under his last 2 games. He's had 1 assist in each of his last 2 games, but before that he had 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, 4, 2. So you would normally see his assist line set at 2 or 2.5, but right now it's set at 1.5. It's heavily juiced at -150, but he gets plenty of assist opportunities. He kicks it out to Fletcher Lawyer a lot, kicks it out to Braden Smith a lot. It's just, you need one of those guys to make it, and I'm hoping with NC State, yes, they've been on this great run, but their defense is vulnerable at times, and Purdue yeah, exactly, and Purdue played a Tennessee team that really shut down the perimeter game for them, but NC State has some weakness on the perimeter. So if Zach Edey kicks it out to Fletcher Lawyer 1 or 2 times, he should easily hit this assist number.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that would be worth dabbling in a parlay here. I don't love the -150, but I feel like you're right. The regression to the mean here would be going back to at least 2 assists. And NC State's perimeter defense, as we've mentioned, can be very vulnerable. It feels like they've just gotten lucky that some of these teams they've been playing haven't been able to make open threes, which I don't know how much we can credit to NC State themselves. So Purdue might give them a hard time there. All right, good to know.
24-13 on the year, and 2 of those 13 are the last 2 games on the under. So he's due to hit this over here.
Has he been sitting a lot in the second?
No, he played
39
minutes, 38 minutes. The only time he really sat was against Utah State because they were up by 40 points in that game, and they could have easily won by 50 if they kept him in. And then the game before, they against Grambling, if he's probably going to play somewhere between 35 and 40 minutes, most likely, if the game's close. But even in those games that it looks weird because the last 2 games where he's played 38 and 39 minutes, he's had 1 assist.
Right. Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, maybe because he's been sitting or something, that's why, but I still like it nonetheless. All right,
Mhm.
let's head over to his teammate here, Braden Smith. Someone I've been liking. I'm liking his assist lines a lot. I feel like it might be inflated here, but maybe some better value with the PRA.
So yeah, his assist line is at 7 today, which I mean I don't mind it. We have him at 6.5. We have him
Mhm.
projected for 33 minutes, but also he's another player. If you look at his game log, he's going to play probably 40 minutes. He played 40 minutes against Gonzaga, 36 minutes last game. So we have him projected for 6.5 assists in 33 minutes, which probably if he plays 40 minutes is closer to like 7.2, I'd say. But if he's hit this 7 assists and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and he's hit a 6 1-on-1 in his last 8 games. So assist total isn't that bad, especially if you don't buy into NC State's defense.
Mhm. Yeah, I wonder what these two parlayed together might be because I like both of them a lot. Could even
Mhm.
maybe buy down Braden Smith's PRA a little bit, but keep the ED assists.
Yeah,
Um,
I just like the P. So what's interesting about the PRA is that in most books it's 24.5. I think it's 24.5 minus 120 on DK, but it's 23.5 minus 124 on Bet Rivers. So I'd pay the little extra juice to get a whole point of value there. So
mhm.
that's why I like the 23.5, even though we only have him at 23.1. But then again, if you think he plays 40 minutes, he
Right.
should get hit the total.
Yeah, if you're gonna play 40 minutes, I mean, this is the time. Go big or go home. All right. We don't have too much value on the other game. We can head over to it super quick just to see it if we want. Again, UConn
Yeah.
actually being massive ATS machines here, 6-0 in their last 6 games in Final Four or later. They're just dominant. We do have some value on Alabama, as the model does. From Jake's personal brain and opinion, do you like Alabama to potentially cover here? Are you rooting for their ceiling?
I mean, if UConn doesn't get any sleep because they got in at 3 a.m., then maybe. But I think that's the only thing that could hold it back. UConn is the airport, is
Mhm.
the is whatever American Airlines, wherever they were flying. I think that's the only thing that could hold UConn back at this point.
Right.
It's going the pace is going to really dictate how much UConn wins by. If they could really slow down Alabama, maybe they try to win by 10 to 15 points. But if Bama's really pushing the pace and Bama's turning the ball over, UConn could really blow them out of the water. I mean, I'm not saying so. I told my friends the other day that when Clemson was playing Bama, I said Bama has a shot against UConn. Clemson has no shot against UConn, but I think Clemson could beat Alabama, which is like the
Yeah, yeah.
transitive property is all confusing right there. But
Well, it's
it's
yeah. We were like
just got
Charleston could easily
yeah.
beat Bama, but Bama could also easily make it to the Final Four type of deal.
Exactly. And Mark Sears is one of these players that can take over a game. Yeah, I don't
Yes,
have any player props in this game except for the Donovan Clingan, which I
I
gave
was about
you
to say.
the
Yeah,
over half a steal. If you look at his game log, which I'll pull up right now, he's really trending up in terms of steals. 3 steals, 0, but he only played 23 minutes against San Diego State because they won by 30. Then
mhm,
1-1-1. And so dating back to the last game of the Big East Championship, he has a steal in every game but one.
yeah, I like
I
it.
want. Let's see what he did last year in March. Let's look.
And we can't forget the Alabama, just the pace they're playing, and they're averaging 12 turnovers as well as we mentioned.
Exactly. So last year in the Final Four and the championship game, he had 2 steals in just 10 minutes against San Diego State as well.
Shows up for the big stage, man. You gotta respect it.
I mean, when you're 7'2" with 7'7" wingspan, I guess it helps you out a little bit.
You accidentally start stealing the ball just by like moving across the court.
Hmm.
All right, let's head over to some baseball before we get into this NBA slate here. Any other Final Four questions? Please feel free to put them in the chat. We'll get to them as well. We'll start with Mr. Pete Alonso here. The Mets definitely could be looking better. Definitely could be looking better.
Yeah, Pete
That's
Alonso had a hit a bomb yesterday, and he tends to hit bombs in bunches. And we have him as the best value of any player to hit a home run today at plus 199. Um, but you get him at plus 340 and bet MGM. He is 2 for 6 with 2 home runs in his career against Hunter Green. So pretty good value against a player he's had good success against.
I'm pretty scarred right now by MLB home run props. I'm gonna have to take a break from the MLB. The
Well, they're big
craziest
plus money for a reason. That's
I
there.
know, but O'Neal Cruz, like I'd rather you just literally shit the bed than have like so many like grounder. Like he was making contact, getting on base, and I'm like, just hit one dinger for me, giving you 2 nights in a row. Anyway, well, let's go over to the other leg of that parlay that also did not hit. It was Bobby Witt. We're not looking for home runs here. We're just looking for runs from the guy.
Yeah, we have him scoring a run in like 85% of simulations. So at minus 113, you're getting pretty good value on Bet Rivers. But I was weird because I was looking at other books, and most of this is minus 135. So you're getting plenty of value on Bet Rivers here, and we love him, especially since he hits so early in the lineup. You should get plenty of opportunities. Who are they facing? They're facing the White Sox, and the White Sox we know aren't that great. Eric Fetty was pretty good his first start, but he still got hit around. He had 5 hits, 1 walk, so plenty of base runners, even though he was solid in his first start.
Mm-hmm. All right, good stuff there. We'll move on to the Red Sox here. Last game of the night, they will be playing the Angels. We got 2 different player props here.
Yeah, Jaron Duran, we have him as our second best value to get a stolen base today, but in terms of price, plus 340, considered it's at plus 280 in most books. Yeah, plus 340 in Valley. I think we set this at like plus 250, so you're getting plenty of value here. It's just a value play, a long shot stolen base that I like.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. I'm in on the long shots right now. I could use that. Maybe a little $5 sprinkle for me. All right, let's move over to his teammate here to have a hit runner RBI.
Yeah, Rafael Devers. It's a good matchup against Griffin Canning. He's only 1 for 6 off Canning in his career, but it's a righty he's facing as a lefty. He's only struck out once in those 6 at bats, so he's making contact. So I think he's a 300 career hitter. He should be due against Canning here, and the hits, run, and RBI takes account for walks and getting a run scored. So that's why I like the hits, runs, and RBIs. We have him projected for 2.1.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's all the MLB we got. I see the chat starting to chime in about college baseball here. We love to see turn everyone into college baseball people. We'll head over Friday night. This has got to be the big hitters, right? Big stars on the mound.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Exactly. There's I guess sometimes you'll see some Thursday series or games start on Thursday, and so you have to be cognizant of that. So sometimes these number 1 starters won't be there. I suggest checking out this Twitter page, Friday Starters, and they'll usually tweet the rotations for the week, and I'll try my best to put them in the database in time before the games.
Okay. All right, let's start here with a quick money line play with Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky minus 130. Kentucky's like the hottest team in the country. I think they're like 15-1 at home as well this year. So they've been dominant at home. They're on fire. They just they swept Georgia the first weekend series, and then I think they swept Ole Miss on the road last week. We would set this closer to minus 180, minus 200. So getting minus 130 on DraftKings is pretty good value, considering it's already up to like minus 160 on Hard Rock.
All right. Solid stuff there. We'll do a couple more money lines we got here. We'll go to Wake Forest here.
Yeah, so this is where you have to pay attention to pitchers. There was no like pitchers slated to start, just randomized pitchers, we would have a small lean on Virginia Tech. But then you consider Chase Burns, one of the best pitchers in the country, is pitching today. Wake Forest at minus 125 is pretty good value, in my opinion. So we'd have a 50-50 game without Burns starting, but I think Burns is worth a couple of runs himself. And he's going up, and Wake Forest, they're due for a big win here. They're going up against a true freshman starter for Virginia Tech. So it's a junior, one of the best pitchers in the country versus a true freshman. It is on the road, which scares me. So Virginia Tech's definitely going to be fired up. They have great bats, but it's going to be hard going against 101, 102 miles per hour all game.
Yeah. I mean, true freshman versus one of the best pitchers in the country is all I need to hear. All right, let's move on. We'll go to University of Central Florida here, taking their money line as well.
Yeah, UCF money line. It's just they've been much better at home. They're playing against Kansas State, who's been better as of late, but the model seems to really like that UCF is at home here. So we would set this around minus 150.
Okay. Sounds like value. We'll head over to UVA UNC. 2 schools that waitlisted me. Not that I'm upset about it. Anyway,
They're dead to us. They're on the S list.
S
So
list.
we hope both of them give up a ton of runs today.
Yeah.
So yesterday, these two teams played with their number one starters, and Virginia came back and won 14-11. So there's 25 runs. I think 13.5 is a little high. I was hoping there'd be 12.5, but after seeing all those bats go off yesterday and 25 combined runs, they should. And even, I mean, Virginia covered this total by themselves yesterday. They scored 14. So I like 13.5.
Should be easy enough. All right. I think that's all we got here for college baseball, if I'm correct. Yeah.
Do we have Cal? I don't think. I was thinking about playing Cal. They're at plus 100 now on Hard Rock. They're 12-2 at home, but they're just not been playing that great baseball. So I'd stay off Cal. So yeah, I think that's all we got today.
All right. We're going to take it to the association. Steven has left me his notes, so you guys are going to have to bear with me, but I think we should be able to get through this. We'll bring in, I guess we're not bringing in Jake's model.
I'm sure that was the other model. I'm changing it right now.
I was like, maybe we're not bringing in the model.
Yeah.
But we're going to start with the Portland Washington Wizards game, which I know everybody is going to be tuning into. Washington 2.5 point home favorites here. Delano Baton over 2.5 turnovers is what we're going to be looking at here at plus money. Now, from my understanding, there's just 9 million injuries to the Portland roster here, and that's when he starts to play upwards of 30 minutes. We're averaging around 18 points per game, but we're going to look at his turnovers here because this turnover prop is 13-4 when he's playing 25 plus minutes. So that's where we are right now. It is technically a good buy low spot because he has gone under this in his last two, but the 13-4, that's music to my ears. So plus money turnover props is what we like to look at here. I see some questions in the chat. DeAndre Ayton. We'll get to the questions. We can do Ayton here. There's rebound prop 13 here. Any value here?
We don't have value in the model, but I mean he's been one of the hotter players right now. Mm-hmm. We have him at 12.1 rebounds, so we stay off, but don't hate it against an undersized, for the most part, Washington team. Mm-hmm. That he could really eat up some boards here. It all depends on his minutes. See, he played 25 minutes against Miami because they lost by 60. But this is a game where Portland and Washington should be close because they're both pretty bad teams that year. He should play 35, 40 minutes here. So I don't mind over 13 rebounds, especially since he's hit it in 6 of his last 8 games where he's been healthy. Yeah. So don't hate that.
Any player this time of year that we can feel confident are playing 4 quarters of basketball, I'd take their prop because that's just hard enough to find with like the late March, early April situation right before playoffs. So basically to me, it's like find confidence that they're going to try hard through 4 quarters of basketball. And that's when you start to look at props. But we can move on here. We'll head to Orlando, headed to Charlotte. Orlando, really, really big road favorites here. The model only makes this Orlando -6 instead of the Orlando -12 that you'll find around most books. Orlando allowing 5 more points on the road than at home, and Charlotte kind of being a little bit better of a home team than a road team here. So taking a look at Nick Richards here to go over 8.5 points. The model makes it 11 points here. He overall has a lot of strong home season trends. He's coming into this 16-7 to the over. Now he is a game time decision, but the injury seems very, very bizarre and odd that I don't think if he is playing, it's necessarily going to limit his performance. Plantar fascia discomfort. Anyone familiar with that one?
Well, I know that Joakim Noah had plantar fasciitis. Molly, who's in the chat right now, she could maybe tell us because she's in PA school. So, but I mean, like you said, if he plays, he should go over. But if he doesn't play, there's no risk of losing because it's just a DNP and you don't lose anything. So I like this play. We also have slight value on his PERA if you want to play that as well. We have him, I guess the consensus line 17.5. We have him close to 20. But if you look at his game log, he's gone double digits in 4 of his last 5 games that he's played minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. Molly, if you could hit us with the plantar fascia discomfort, um, that would be helpful as well. All right, let's move on here to OKC headed to Indiana. Some steam to Indiana. OKC is without SGA again. I believe likely without Jalen Williams as well here. OKC not kind of really looking like what they did earlier this year. So we're going to go to the other side of the ball here with Miles Turner over 7.5 rebounds and assists. Model makes it 8.7. Another guy with a lot of strong home trends here, 26-9 to this over, averaging 8.8 rebounds and assists. Another buy low value again, which we always love because he's had a lower last month, averaging around 7, but nonetheless 8-6 to this over. Another game time decision. Now this one's a finger injury, so this could possibly affect his shooting, but I think if anything, well, also Steven thinks if anything, it's going to help him just focus on rebounds and assists. So we should be able to eclipse a 7.5 number. If we look at the other centers, averaging around the same 7.5 to 9.5 rebounds and assists range against OKC. They are 8-6 to this over. So it looks pretty good to me. I like the side of the ball here too. Any thoughts on this game, Jake, before we move on?
I'm just looking at. I forgot Steven put the whole new form in there, so I'm just looking at all of this. But yeah, it's definitely a good trend for the over for Miles Turner. I was on a Chet prop in his last start, and that did not turn out well for me. But I
Yeah,
think this could
it.
be more of a Chet game. I'm thinking, but I guess his consensus line is 30.5 on the PRA, and we have them at 28.6. So we do have slight value on your guy Josh Giddey and slight value on Lou Dort. Maybe
Started on Lou Dort.
maybe let's see. We have Lou Dort at 2.73 points made. His line's probably 2.5, but I wonder what the juice is there.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like the Miles Turner prop, especially against OKC. He's kind of beating it up right now.
Yeah, they're going through the ringer. Molly has come back with some scientific news for us. It is a very painful injury, it does seem. But once you start getting moving, maybe it improves. Ice and stretching from Dr. Molly. Thank you very much. So maybe we'll have to step backwards on this Nick Richards prop. But 8.5. I mean,
yeah, he's 7 feet tall. He should get.
Yeah, come on. All right, let's move on.
Sit the rest of that. Come on.
Yes. All right, let's go to Sacramento, headed to Boston. Boston 9-point home favorites. Despite Jaylen Brown and Derek White both being ruled out, there was a little steam back to Sacramento. Still feels like a really big number, but the model seems to agree with the number here. Nonetheless, we'll head over to Jason Tatum, who we have to go over 28.5 points. The model makes it 33.7 points. When he's playing without Jaylen Brown and Derek White, it feels a little bit like last season where he was 57 and 37, over 60% to this over. So it's kind of one of those situations where it feels like, he has no other choice, right?
Yeah, and I feel like he's due for a 30-point game after going under in the last 3, after going for 37 and 31 for that. And Sacramento's played against the Knicks yesterday, so they should be tired as well.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mind that play at all. Maybe even if you want to sprinkle in, we have him at 33 points, maybe you get like plus 400 from me, score 40 plus points, and wouldn't be a bad idea.
Go crazy.
I know you need some of your big plus money parlays right here, so maybe you want to include him. I don't. So it's interesting that it's when we still have value even with Brown out. I could see why, especially Sacramento on the back-to-back. Boston's so good at home. Let's see, Sacramento, they're 22-16 ATS on the road, but they're even on the road, and Boston at home is plus 16. And they're coming off Sacramento's on the back-to-back, so don't mind this play at all. Maybe you could do like a live bet on Boston if Sacramento comes out hot, just like yesterday against the Knicks. The Knicks start off slow, and then they came out in the third quarter on fire. So maybe a live play on Boston if you like that.
There you go. Any thoughts on DeAndre Fox over 4.5 rebounds? It looks like we only have him for 4.2, but
yeah, we have De'Aaron Fox for 4.2 and 6.5 assists. We have his PRA right in line with the 36.5 that is set at. So I don't mind a Fox prop here. Let's see what he's done. I mean, he had 7. Is it rebounds? So I mean, if you look at the recent trend, he's gone well above 4.5 recently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of the last 8 games, De'Aaron Fox has gone over 4.5 rebounds. So while we don't have any model value, that could be a play there as well, for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We'll head over to who is it? We got, I think, Toronto headed to Milwaukee here. Giannis, Derek, correct me if I'm wrong, the chat is doubtful, if not definitely out, which switches things up a little bit, but should help this specific prop nonetheless. Kelly Olynyk to go over 12.5 points. I would certainly act on that now, actually, in case these Giannis updates throw this line a little bit. But we have him projected for almost 14 points. He's coming into this 11-6 to this over. Now, he didn't play last game, but it was just for rest, not due to injury. So he better be coming out guns a-blazing here. And if Toronto wants to keep up with Milwaukee on the boards in any shape or form, which they probably can, he's going to have to play major minutes here to stay in the game. So hopefully the points will follow. But it seems like RJ Barrett and Quickly are both expected to play. And Milwaukee coming off 2 bad losses. So I don't know. This game might be a little bit closer than the 15-point spread we're seeing here.
Yeah, I would grab the Olynyk now at 12.5 on Fanatics at -125 because almost every other book it's already at 13.5. I think Fanatics is the only book right now that's still at 12.5.
Classic Fanatics. They're a book of the people, I'll tell you.
I know, exactly. I know how they're making money on their jersey sales, but not through their books. So let's take some of their money that way.
Exactly. Yeah, Derek saying Giannis is doubtful. Pat Bev is also doubtful. So could be an ugly game, but I do like Olynyk, certainly an act now situation if you like him as well. All right, let's head on over to San Antonio, headed to New Orleans to take on my guy Trey Murphy here. 18.5-point favorites is what the model would make New Orleans, which is quite wild. So I guess we do technically have some value on this over 11.5-point spread. But let's take a look at a player prop here. We'll go to Trey Jones over 10.5 points. Model makes it 13 points. Kind of a fade of his season road trends and his lower month, but we know we love a buy low spot. He has scored 10, 12, and 13 in his last 3 games, so not out of the park here at all by any means. A lot of injuries here that should benefit him and his points and his minutes. So I think we'd be able to get over this line here. Any other thoughts on this game?
I mean, Trey Jones triple-double guarantee after the last game.
What happened?
He's coming off a triple-double. I might even be his first career triple-double.
Was that the same night that I was trying to find a triple-double? Because I'll freak out.
Probably.
How about Josh Hart last night almost had a triple-double, and I was going to probably throw my computer off the balcony if he actually did.
He was pacing for a triple-double, but I think he just finished. I don't even think he finished with double digits, anything besides points. I mean, a massive scoring day, but I think he had 9 assists, 8 rebounds. But I was thinking of you when he was going off yesterday. Let's see, Trey Jones. So you get Trey Jones triple-double plus 6,500 on DK, but it's plus 2,500 on Caesars, plus 42. And it's all over the board, but plus 6,500. And it just moved on Fanatics, and they're listening to us right now, rip them apart. So Fanatics is listening to us. Wemby over 4.5 turnovers. We have him at 4.8, so depending on the juice, we would lean with the over on Wemby. I mean, he's so fun to watch. I always look to play one Wemby game play because I just like watching him.
Right.
So let's see. He's coming off. Yeah, so I do like the over 4.5 turnovers, considered he only had 2 last game, so he's due for a big turnover game. I wonder what. So I mean, Wemby almost had a quadruple double. I was looking, and I think DK listed Wemby triple double before the season at 100-1. I don't think he's going to get one this season. I'd take the under, but he almost got some people 101 odds right there.
Crazier things have happened. All right, we got a ton of games to get through, which I was not completely aware of until right now. So, all right, let's start chugging along here. We'll go to Minnesota, headed to Phoenix, where I'm also headed to after the show, which is also why I have to hurry this up a little bit here. All right, we'll talk. Oh, I skipped a game, but we'll get back to it. But we'll start with Minnesota. Yeah. Team total over 106.5. The model makes it 113 here. Minnesota just averages more points on the road, around 115 more than at home. Phoenix also allowing 114 at home, just the same as the road. So not very awesome home road splits for the Suns here. Minnesota also shooting 39% from the three on the road and 32-6 to this specific over. They've also just been dominating Phoenix opponents 30-8 to this over in Phoenix. So Phoenix not putting up a great defensive front at home. But nonetheless, definitely some good value on that there. I don't think there are any crazy injuries in this game, but I want to go back to that game I just skipped with Golden State headed to Dallas. Luka is doubtful or definitely out. Derek, check
I
me
know
out.
Derek took him out in the model.
Okay.
I think he's listed as out now.
Yeah. So
But
we had
you
Golden
gotta be careful because I know your Philly team just got fined $100,000 for listing Embiid as like doubtful, then he ended up playing. So you gotta be
Yeah.
careful with that now.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm assuming that's probably why Derek took him out of the model, because nobody's going to do that anymore after that fiasco. But we did have Golden State covering with Luka, so I would assume we like him even more without Luka. This is also probably an act now if you can still get the 5.5. But the Warriors are just awesome in all ATS aspects of this. 5-1 coming into the game, 10-5 with no rest. I will say the Mavs are also pretty good with no rest, but the Warriors on the road in general, 26-12, plus 4-point differential, better than they are at home, just plus 1-point differential, shooting well from deep, getting more rebounds on the board, more rebounds on the road. So this is why they could probably cover this game here. It still looks like 5.5 is the consensus.
It's so open at 5.5. Now the current line is -1.5. So Dallas is still a slight favorite, but we like Golden State one to win by almost 2.
Dare
So
we just take the money line?
I mean, at that point, you take plus the 124 consensus. We have some value there. That's probably where the value is if you want to play it.
Right.
I wouldn't recommend playing 1.5 unless you think they're going to lose by exactly 1. The odds of that aren't that great. Looks like we have some Kuminga value. He's been out, right? Is he? What's his status? Derek, you can put it in the chat.
Yeah, I think he was doubtful as well. Derek, maybe I'll radio call you in here. See if I can phone a friend. I don't know how to just add his audio. Kuminga is game time decision, Derek says in the chat. All right.
So that's going to make a big difference as well. So maybe hold off on all bets on this game just because there's so many injuries. I know it's also Steven loves the Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
And I think there's some value on Andrew Wiggins. Did O'Neal Cruz just hit a home run?
He's so for real. He's so for real.
Is that what just happened? Yep, O'Neal Cruz home run. Deep right center. You had to bet him again. Yep.
Like, you've got to be kidding me. Oh, I hate it here. This is just brutal. All right. Anyways, let me try to recover from this. Get us moving here. I skipped 9 million games. Let's go back to Detroit. Headed to Memphis here. Detroit was 1.5-point road favorites. Now it's over to Memphis. I need the Detroit Pistons to get 2 more wins. This has got to be the night. Memphis, literally everybody's hurt. Cade Cunningham is out for Detroit, though, but maybe that's a sneaky spot here. That is why we like Jalen Duren to go over his PRA of 27.5 here. Double-double, probably not that much value, but you might as well go for the PRA here.
I will tell you the best line for Duren double-double, but we really would set the line. Really, I mean, we have him with 13 rebounds and 15 points, so probably not going to be value, but if it's anywhere under -200, grab it. Okay, so -167 on Bet Rivers, -155 Bet 365. So if you want to do Bet 365, you want to play that, and Zach Edey over 1.5 assists on Bet 365 as well. There, parlay those. You're getting some good value. So definitely -167. You're definitely getting good value there on Bet Rivers, I'd say.
Okay, maybe a little parlay action there. We'll move on to Miami, headed to Houston. Trying to remember if there are some injuries in this game. I don't believe. Oh, Thompson, he's not in. So that was our only value that we really liked here. But if anyone else has questions, for time's sake, I'm going to skip over this game unless I see some questions. We're going to head on over to New York, headed to Chicago. Slight steam to the over because New York has been hitting an abundance of overs recently, 6 straight and 8 of their last 9 here. But we're going to the old faithful Alex Caruso over 2.5 blocks and steals for plus money. Love to see it. It's not always available at plus money, but the past 2 weeks it has been. And this is literally plus money for something below his season average. And we have him projected for 2.8. He's averaging 3.3 in his last 3 games versus New York. Strong last month, basically averaging 3 blocks and steals, 8 and 7 for this over. And guards who average a similar amount of blocks and steals to him are averaging 2.4 on their home court versus New York. So, can't say enough good things about our guy Alex Caruso. He's always on with the blocks and steals.
It makes sense considering that OG's probably out. He's probably doubtful. But Jalen Brunson and Miles McBride, they're both under 6'2", and he might get switched on to them a couple of times. And I wonder what Miles McBride block allowed percentages, but it has to be somewhat decent considering he's 6'2". Both players are really creative at getting their shots off, but they're smaller guards. Even DiVincenzo 6'5", they play a lot of guards. And we know Miles McBride and Josh Hart are going to play 55 minutes tonight, so we'll see. Yeah. I like that a lot.
Yeah, he's a dog, our guy Alex Caruso. All right, one more game. Utah headed to the LA Clippers. We have some value on Keontae George over 3.5 turnovers. Also a plus money play here. Kawhi out again. Clippers coming off a back-to-back, just 5 and 8 ATS with no rest. The model actually likes the Clippers in the spot, but nonetheless, let's talk about this turnover prop here. We make it 3.8 turnovers for George here. And he's been playing an insane amount of minutes post-All-Star break, which usually could just, again, lead to more turnovers as it is. Over his 5 and 2 when he is playing this many minutes, about over 35 minutes. And he's had a pretty high average this past month going over this 7 times, 7 and 6 in this last month. So fading the season trends of him only playing 25 minutes and not hitting this because he's been playing an obscene amount of minutes lately. So there should be plenty of opportunity here. I will say 4 is a pretty high number.
Yeah, for a ball dominant guard, 4 is not too much. So it depends how much he has the ball in his hand. But you said we had 3.8. We actually have 4.2 in the model now in the latest update, I guess, with injuries and everything. So even better value on it right now. And that's a plus money. So pretty good value there.
Yeah, definitely. God, I can't believe O'Neal Cruz. What did I do to deserve this pain?
I wonder I'm going to check what he was at today at his best value and make you cry even more.
It's just nauseating. Let's take a look at the recap screen while you do that. Look at that. God, we are good. Lots to go over here. I had some people in the chat asking about this Iowa UConn women's game. Not something we necessarily cover. Do you have any thoughts or leans on this at all, Jake? I think Iowa's 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, it's between 2.5 and 3.5. I would be very careful, but betting against UConn just with Gino Auriemma's history being so good when it comes to the Final Four games. I'd be very careful betting against him. I know Iowa's the fan favorite here. Gino's won enough games, but I'll be very careful betting against him and Paige Beckers here.
I was gonna say if I had a lean, I'd go UConn.
Yeah, I think the public is definitely moving this line to Iowa minus 3.5, and so you could get some good value on UConn plus 3.5 just because the public is so far on Iowa.
Yeah, I saw like 95% of the bets for this game are Caitlin Clark over 5.5 threes, which is just wild. But I think this might be. I love Caitlin Clark as much as the next girl, but I just feel like UConn. I know they do have some injuries. Chat's saying, but again, going against that coach and Paige, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Caitlin's a one-man show out there. I don't know how far I can take her. I will say that I feel like this Iowa supporting cast is better than last year's Iowa supporting cast.
Oh, yeah, it definitely is. Yeah.
But we'll see. All right. Happy Friday to everyone except O'Neal Cruz. I hope everybody makes some money this weekend. Any questions, as always, reach out to us. I will be inbound to Phoenix tonight on my Spirit Airlines flight, landing around 1 a.m. local time there if it makes you feel better, since I did not make the money to do much better than that. So hope everyone has a better betting weekend than I have the past 2 weeks. So good luck and have a great weekend.